All right, sports fans, how's everybody out there doing? William Martin coming at you one more time here on YouTube with another edition of the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge Podcast. Wow, what did we just see down in the Big Easy? And I mean, it's the first full weekend of the college football season. And of course, you can't gloss over that thriller yesterday between Appalachian State and North Carolina. But Florida State and LSU just simply said, hold my beer. We just saw the Seminoles survive down in the Big Easy, and this, culminates their first 2-0 start since 2016. And yes, it's Labor Day weekend. And yes, Florida State defeated an unranked LSU team. But you can't look over the fact that this is a very big win for Florida State and their head coach, Mike Norville. He's had a tough go at it so far since he's taken over this Seminoles program. And, you think back to what they were a couple of years ago, a 3-win team. And then last year, they had that very slow start. Florida State last year, they lost their first 4 games. That heartbreaker to begin the year at home to Notre Dame, and then they culminated that with another tough home loss to Jacksonville State, an FCS program. And before you know it, they were 0-4, but they did finish the season strong, 5-7, even though that they weren't bowl eligible. But I really think, just before I get into the meat and potatoes of this game, I really think that Florida State having a home game last week, granted it was against Duquesne, but nonetheless, getting the live game reps, getting an opportunity to get your feet wet, really helped this team in this contest tonight. And then on top of that, this was the type of game that a year ago Florida State would have lost. But this was not only a character building win for the Seminoles, but it also showed the character that they had. Because let's face it, Florida State took the field tonight against plenty of adversity. You think about LSU and going to the Superdome in New Orleans, it's their home away from home. The Baton Rouge campus is not that far away. And you think about the success that LSU has had in that building over the years. You knew that that place was going to be electric. The Brian Kelly era begun tonight as a new head coach at LSU. So you got all of that adversity that you got to deal with. And, the crowd was buzzing. And this Florida State team was up for the challenge and they found a way. And I continuously say this: anybody who ever wants to look over the impact that special teams can have on a team and on a game, you know what? You don't know football. This game right here was a prime example of that. We saw Florida State recover a pair of muff punts by LSU kick returner Malik Neighbors. We then, on top of that, saw this Florida State kick coverage team, a field goal prevent team rather, go out there. They blocked a field goal early on in this game, and then of course they came up and blocked the extra point to win this contest at the end. So the Noles special teams really came up big tonight. Quarterback Jordan Travis was solid, 20 of 33 passing for 260 yards, 2 touchdowns, and no picks. And it looked like Florida State was well on their way to icing this game late until the fumble at the goal line opened the door for LSU. And the Bayou Bengals, they drove down the field, and it looked like this game was going to overtime. But nonetheless, Florida State stepped up. And excuse me, for me, I think this win has to give Florida State plenty of confidence heading into the ACC season. Because you think about it, you go into a hostile environment, you go into basically a road game against an SEC opponent, and LSU was the only SEC team to lose this weekend. And who did they lose to? They lost to Florida State. So if you're the Seminoles, this has to feel good for you, and you want to try to build off of this. And I said, heading into this season that, Mike Norville was a guy that he wanted to get some wins under his belt, and just due to the fact that his first 2 years at Tallahassee only produced a record of 8-13. And I expected Florida State to be a better team this year, and they are going to be a better team. And honestly, Florida State has already shown that they are a better team from 2021 until now. And the thing is this, the college football scene is better when you have, blue bloods like Florida State that are relevant. Because you think about it, for anybody who watched college football prior to the year 2000, the thing is, you knew that Florida State was, one of the teams. You figure what they did in the 90s. Every year they were in the top 10. You think about the guys during that era from the mid to late 80s through the early 2000s. And it was a pipeline of talented players that Bobby Bowden, the former Florida State head coach, put into the NFL. And these guys are first rounders. And I mean, I could rattle off some names there. You think about the likes of Deion Sanders, Derek Brooks, Andre Wadsworth, Warwick Dunn, Peter Bolware, Samari Roll. We could just keep going right down the list. But nonetheless, this was the type of talent that came out of Tallahassee during that time. You think about where they were with Jimbo Fisher before he left to go to Texas A&M, and now Mike Norvell is trying to get them back. And once again, when Florida State, excuse me, is on the national scene, I think it's better for college football when you have power such as their magnitude, that is recognized and also a force to be reckoned with. But I think right now, this win right here opens up a lot of things for Florida State because you got to be feeling good about yourselves. You're 2-0 before Labor Day. You're 2-0 before you take the field for a conference game. And now you have an off week to get ready for a road trip to Louisville on Friday, September the 16th. And honestly, this ACC schedule just looks a lot more favorable for Florida State than it did a couple of weeks ago because, all right, you're going to Louisville. Louisville just got embarrassed last night on the road against Syracuse. Boston College is not expected to be a force to be reckoned with in the ACC this year. That is your conference home opener on the 24th. You host Wake Forest on the 1st of October. We don't know what's going on with Sam Hartman. Is he going to play this year or not? And I mean, I'm not trying to make light of it nonetheless, but if Sam Hartman is not there, we saw what he meant to this Wake Forest team last year, that definitely changes things for the Demon Deacons. Then you're at NC State and you're home for Clemson back to back. And I know NC State did struggle on the road against East Carolina last night, but NC State is still a solid team. And I think NC State is still going to be one of the top teams in the ACC this year. But nonetheless, you look at that second half of that schedule, Georgia Tech, you're at Miami. That's going to be a tough game. At Syracuse, you're home for the Raging Cajuns of Louisiana. And then you finish up at home with the Gators out of Florida, which is never an easy game. But nonetheless, I think this is big for Florida State. Their fan base has to be electric about this. And let's see how they can build off of this. And more importantly, for Mike Norvell, when you win games, it's easier to have guys buy into what you're selling. And I think already this group of young men bought into what Coach Norvell is selling because they found a way. And the bottom line is, when you're dealing with adversity, you got to go out there and find a way. This Florida State team did it. They survived a big character win for Florida State. And let's see how the Noles can build off of that for this college football season. So, folks, that is going to wrap it up. And as always, I want to take this time out to thank you for tuning into the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge podcast here on YouTube. I want to take the time out to thank all of you fine folks out there for tuning in. And if you have not already, please feel free to subscribe to this channel. Now, if you are on Twitter, please feel free to follow me at 300 Pounds of Sports. And like I always say, if you follow me, it'll be my pleasure to follow you right back. There's also the sports discussion group on Facebook at the Sports Depot 365. You can check it out. Drop a line and be a part of one of the better sports debating sites going on social media. So, once again, fine folks, my name is William Martin. I am signing off, saying take care and have yourselves a wonderful day.